Wow, we here. Let's go then. You ready? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. You can answer me. It's fine. Fam, I'm Ebenezer. This is my wife. Please say your name. Go ahead.
Tina Quayes.
Yes. Say it loud and say it proud. We are here. It is the Marital Arts, and we are excited to be able to just sit down and talk to you about all things marriage. Again, not from the place of thinking we figured it out, but we done been through some things.
A couple.
And y'all going through some things too. Let's go through some things together. Let's chop this up. Because one of the things we want to make sure that everybody realizes is couples, even if you're curious about marriage, you're not by yourself, and we don't talk enough about the things that go into not just being married, but ultimately getting married. So that's where we start with today. We're going to talk about the art of dating. Fam, I'm getting reports. The streets be talking to me. They talk to your boy. They talk to your girl. They're telling me dating is wild out here. It is certainly different since we hopped out. But I'm hearing extra special things about dating. And we wanted to just sit and chop it up and really talk about why dating is the way it is. And maybe we can bring dating back to what it was originally supposed to be about. Babe, dating. So when we dated, how did this work with us?
How did we date?
How did we date?
It was simple. And I think that's, I don't even want to talk about why it is the way it is. Why study what's wrong? But I think when we were dating, and what I hope folks can lean into is the simplicity of it. Things were so simple. And I'll be honest, I was in a place of being single and thrilled with my single life. Okay, I was mingling, I was traveling, I knew who I was, what I liked, I was very settled, which is a good thing to have. And I had a romanticized version of dating though. So I had kind of there was a balance. There was a wild side, but then there was a wise side. And so the wise side was like, we're gonna collect data. Mind you, I didn't know the Lord. We'll talk about that. But I was like, I need to learn about the person I'm dating. So I'm collecting information and I'm studying him. But then the other side was like, I need to be wowed. I need to be impressed. I need to know that you can blow my mind with the things that you can plan and pay for. And when he showed up for a lunch date, because I was like, sure, we'll go in some rented car or whatever to a rooftop for some mimosas and what have you. He showed up with some food to prepare at my house, and I was like,
sure did.
But the food was good. The company was amazing. To be fair, this was not our first date, but still, the company was amazing. And I had to reflect on who he was. I couldn't get away from the person I was dating in, all the distractions of the things that were planned. And so it was a little unsettling for me because I had to be like, oh, why was I so hung up on the things in the date as opposed to the person that I was trying to get to know? So I know I said a lot, but that's, yeah.
No, you said it. I'd love to piggyback on that. I remember that exact date, and I remember thinking, I don't know how this is going to play. I don't know if this is going to work. But at the same time, I had the understanding that if she can't enjoy this, not really going to be able to enjoy the real thing that we're trying to establish. Mm-hmm. If we can't sit down and have a meal and just enjoy ourselves, so this ain't gonna work. I think I had gone on enough dates into enough amazing restaurants, and it took years for me to realize if all I remember about the date is what I ate and where I was, if that's all I remember about the date, I've done this wrong. Yeah. I've done me wrong. I've done this other person wrong. We all done it. We just done it wrong. Yeah. Like the restaurant did not need for us to know, to affirm that their food was good. They knew it was good when they served it. So they're not even getting anything out of this. The most important thing is what's happening between us two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we first started dating, when I say your girl was single and ready to mingle, it was hard for me to separate out how to connect with someone before getting sexually attracted to them and getting sexually involved. We're going to go all the way there. There's not a lot.
All the way
that's
there.
Off the table.
Yeah.
And I want to talk a little bit about, like, how do you then date and gather information about somebody and study and observe and learn about them and develop emotional intimacy in a way where you don't leapfrog into sexual intimacy? Because I think that's a part of it.
Ooh.
Dating is very, like, grand romantic gesture, but it's also like, how soon are people going to get active? And I don't mean exercise. And so talking about that, like, how do you practically avoid that? And I bring it up because both of us believe in Christ. We believe in the Bible. And in a basic sense, there's a reality that when you have sex with someone, you will become attached. Your spirit will get attached to them. You, like, yearn for them, and you will legit convince yourselves that they are something they are not. And so if the art of dating is like being simple, if it's figuring out how to connect with someone, how do people navigate, like, not jumping into bed, but then spending time around someone and getting to know them? How does the date play into that, babe?
I think you actually hit on it as you asked the question. And this is a question everybody should be asking themselves. Why am I dating? Like, why am I actually doing this? Am I dating because I'm bored? Am I dating because I am actually looking for someone to start a life with? Or am I dating because I don't like being alone and I need to be distracted from being alone with myself, so I need to go find somebody to distract me from me? I'm aggressive. Y'all gonna figure out real quick. Yo, boy is aggressive with these things. Starting right there, why are you dating? And for me, piggybacking off of what you said, back in the day, this is pre-saved Ebenezer. Before I was a pastor, before I knew Jesus, pre-saved Ebenezer was trying to date, and the ultimate end goal of the date was sex.
And to be fair, you could be saved and that's still your goal.
And that's still yours. I'm just talking about mine. Then I'm giving you the chronological, for me. Those. So with that understanding, if the whole point of the date is sex, it's really hard to not see everything you do as just motivation to get there. So I'm going to wow you with the restaurant, because if I wow you with the restaurant, you're going to be so wowed with the restaurant and be so distracted with the restaurant, or distracted by the car, or distracted by the ambiance. You'll be so distracted by your feeling that we can take that feeling and lead that feeling to doing some different kind of feeling. And that's where the dating thing gets very confusing, because if the objective starts off as sex, you're only going to get but so much out of the experience. But when it becomes, all right, now I'm dating because I am looking for someone I'm looking for someone to do life and life more abundantly with. So now, to what you were saying, I'm taking in data. Does this person fit the mold or criteria of what I can, of who I can do life with? I have a vision of a life. There's a person who I do this life with together. Does this person have the characteristics, have the personality, have the core principles? Is that in this person? And that's what a date should be. I'm supposed to be not only learning about you, but another point is learning about myself. Because how I dated when I'm 19, different from who I'm dating in when I'm 25, different from dating at 35. And if I don't pay attention to me maturing and growing, I'm going on the same dates over and over again. And now I'm blaming dating for me not growing.
That's interesting, because when you said, like, how am I growing, something that I think happens on dates sometimes is there's this performative quality to it.
100%.
All of a sudden, the date is your stage, and you Beyonce, and he's Jay-Z, and we just out here being our best selves. And part of what has to be learned is not just, I would almost say, I love that you pointed out that dating is about, if your why is how do we do life and life more abundantly. But a part of that, like the very first step, is just learning about someone, right? Getting to know you, getting to know all about you. and that process of getting to know someone, I think, is sometimes perverted if we're not ourselves. And so if I'm in performance mode and I'm going to show you the best, sexiest, flyest, most put together, happy Tina, what happens after we have a baby and that ain't it no more.
I have a story about that. We'll get to that later.
But being able to show up as your real self and to expect someone else to do the same and to look for those qualities, because you talked about characteristics. And we have a funny story about my list, because I had a list when I started dating Ebenezer.
Yes, you did.
And he is a master's degree holding trained actor, a thespian. And I was like, bro, I don't date entertainers. He was like, why? Tell me. And I was like, well, because, and I listed a lot of character flaws as the reason I wouldn't date an entertainer. And he was like, that makes sense. They sound flaky. You wouldn't want to date someone who's flaky. I get it. And I realize this is a thing he does. He just lets you talk your way through the lack of wisdom. And so I was like, all right, yeah, I don't want to date flaky. And so what it helped me to realize was that my list was about boxes, labels, things that are more aesthetic as opposed to your quality of character. And so your integrity should be what we're looking for. And it's hard to figure out what someone's integrity is when all you want to do is jump in the sack with them or be impressed by a show they're putting on for you. And so I guess another question is like, what does it look like? What kind of character values, what kind of integrity would it take for someone to be able to go the distance in a marriage? Like, how do you see that when you're dating? Like, how would you walk me through okay, this is a sign someone has high integrity. This is a sign somebody has high integrity. Yeah, what are those signals?
I'm reliving right now.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no. This is good. No, I'm reliving our stuff. Our stuff is great. I'd love to relive that. First thing I would say, and this is why you have to study a person in different environments. Because for me, with you, the first thing I noticed about you was how other people were affected by you. So before we went on a date, I was doing my homework. I was like, she cute.
This was observational data.
Gotta pay
we
attention.
We had met and you were studying you.
Listen, study the environment because you don't know who God is gonna highlight. And so a lot of times we get tunnel vision and I'm like, that, her, him. And meanwhile, God is like, I just put you in the room and you don't know who that person is, but if you study your environment, that person will eventually be revealed. So I was studying, and the thing I noticed about you was every time you left a group of people, they were happier like encountering you than before they encountered you. Just notice, I was like, yo, there's some happy energy thing popping off where people just are generally much happier when they leave your presence after experiencing you. So I saw this in a number of circles, like your friend circle, started to see kind of like out and about too. I was like, I didn't know this at the time. I'm thinking back on it now. I wish I was this smart back then. But I said, oh, that's a life quality.
Joy of the Lord.
You gotta have the joy, and you want to see how the person you're dating affects other people.
Wow.
Because to what you were saying, the rep, everybody has the representative, and the representative is mad impressive for you. If I've taken the time, I can find about 4 or 5 things I can do that impress you. But if I'm not impressing you, who am I?
Yeah.
Like, if you're not trying to impress me, who am I? And so that's the thing about dating, is it isn't just those moments where you are sitting together across from each other. It's everything that happens afterward, everything that happens in between. So I'm taking in, and doesn't help that, I have a degree as an actor, and part of acting is studying your environment, studying the people around you, studying for character. So I'm always looking. I'm like, my favorite one about you is pennies. Yeah. So you would pick up pennies, but first off, you weren't struggling for no pennies. So this wasn't like you needed it, but you would pick up a penny and you had such joy about that penny. See, you're doing it right now. It's like you have the penny in your hand. Look at you. And so I said, wait a minute. She can enjoy a penny. I said, oh yeah, we could work. Because if you can enjoy a penny, imagine what you can enjoy with all of the other things that life can bring. And I said, wow, that right there. Yeah, winning. Winning. So it's those things that are outside of the intense gaze and the big splashy romantic. Anybody can appreciate roses, but not everybody can appreciate the process that grew the roses. You appreciate the process that grew the roses. You appreciate the dirt and the planting and the seasons and the mulch and all that other stuff that I've learned from you that I had no idea about. I just go to the store and just get them. You grow them. Things like that, that's what allows dating to be a productive experience. It's not going to just be one date. It's not just in that environment. You had one about my friends that I want you to share.
Yeah, I'm listening to you, and like to put it in universal language, I think one of the values that you attach to integrity, it sounds like, is this appreciation, and simplicity, which is what it seemed like is summed up in that, like, me and my penny thing. Because it feels like I found $100, and I know it's just that one little penny, but it wasn't for me. It was just there, and I'll sanitize my hands. I don't even know where they go, but it's exciting. So anyway, the ability to be appreciative, social interaction, and I would imagine that a part of that is any observable data about someone's love for people. Like, because one of the things that I think we miss on is, and I'll get to what your friends told me about you, which was great.
Because I didn't know you were investigating that part, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was Inspector Gadget. So what's really important is being able to observe interactions with people, because it'll tell you more sometimes about the person than they will about themselves.
That's good.
And so if you want to end up with someone who is kind, everybody has similarities in that sense. Nobody wants to be mistreated. Nobody wants to be abused. But what I find is if we're so focused on what that person is presenting to us, we fail to miss their interactions with people who they're not trying to impress. How do they treat the waiter? How do they treat the homeless person on the street? What do they say about people after they leave? Oh, that's a big one. What do they say about people who harmed them? Somebody who is quick to tear someone down when they're not around. I don't care if it was the judge who sentenced them to 10 years, and that was a bad example, but you understand. Someone who justifiably wronged them. If you're dating someone who can be diplomatic about someone who harmed them, their heart is like, I don't want to carry evil in me, right? So we overlook those things sometimes when we're dating, because it's like we go into a movie screen and it's just, whatever this person presents is what I'm willing to receive. So what I loved about your friends, because I was using the Google to help me figure out what to search for, right? And you Googly was like, do they have any long-term friendships? First of all, because some of y'all out here, I got 30 friends. We all met a week ago on a cruise. They ain't known you long enough to have gone through a menstrual cycle, but somehow they've seen you at your best and worst. And so things like that, not having long-term relationships, can be an indicator that somebody's not able to stick with someone. to sort through conflict and to be supportive over seasons. So anyway, you had a bunch of long-term friends, and one of them told me a story about you literally giving the shirt off of your back to someone. And I say that because it's a colloquialism where folks are like, yo, they're so generous, they would give the shirt off their back to someone. He told me that when y'all were at Morehouse, there was a student who got a bloody nose. And he was like, yeah, Ebenezer yanked his shirt off and gave it to the dude to help stem the bleeding. And I was like, that's my husband. I mean, that wasn't the moment. That wasn't the moment, but it was information about your compassion, about your selflessness. And I remembered paying attention before we started dating, and I want to shift into this in a second, is this kind of data gathering. I love using that term because we're not clinical enough about our interactions. We can have relationships with so many people, and that's important. But somehow when it comes to dating, it's like we all of a sudden want to lead with our heart, which the Bible said is wicked beyond understanding. And even if you don't believe in the Bible, like the idea that you would jump into something emotion first in opposition to evidence, like observed data, information, like witness testimony. Like, what kind of information are we using to make this decision? And so to talk about like the kind of dates we should go on, where we ended up is we started out all the way in. We had had sex, we were unsaved, it was the whole thing. Then we ended up abstaining from having sex for 2 years. And our dating approach changed from the,
we was wilding.
It was wild.
Yeah, we was wilding. Let's keep it 100.
It was the right time.
It was wilding.
There was lots of alcohol involved. There were lots of people who were like, just the sexy people, the sexy time. Everything was sexy, right?
It was all of it.
And then we abstained, and I was like, we got to go on morning dates. Once the sun sets, we can't be out. We turn into werewolves.
Yo, everybody clothes staying on, extra layers of clothes. Yeah, we ain't drinking that because you drink and start thinking. No, we ain't doing the drinking and the thinking. No.
Are there kids around?
Listen,
is there
all of it, the whole shift.
And so we ended up there. But what I'm realizing in hindsight is like, if you want to lead an impactful study, it's going to happen over time. You're not going to trust the results of a survey that took 5 minutes to conduct or a research project that only lasted for a week. It's got to last over time, for one. So there has to be, I think, more, seasons, months, weeks at least, but not a couple nights and then y'all are, this is the one. So the timing matters, and then being able to stay present, to not get like pulled into your heart and your feelings too quickly is important. And so having dates where it may be simple. I know the interwebs is all up in arms about folks who are offering ice cream on dates or who are truck drivers and things like that. Yeah. And so I just want to hear like ideas for simple dates. Ooh. That let you study a person.
Ooh.
Stay present.
The studying is so key. And I also wanted to add to that, have deal breakers. Like and this is a part of not just studying the other person, but, us studying ourselves as we date. You gotta know what your deal breakers are. Because on the one hand, we're saying, hey, you want to study somebody, you want to give them time. But if they hit your deal breaker on date 1, you need to be honest enough with yourself to say, I know he's fine. I know she's fine. The restaurant is great. The Carnival cruise is amazing. The private jet is awesome. The beach, the sunset, all the boxes are being checked off. But this person hit my deal breaker in 5 minutes.
Hey.
Can't lie to yourself.
Nope.
And take yourself on date 2 and pretend we didn't see.
You don't even have to stay on that date.
No.
I have to use the ladies' room. I'm so sorry.
Hit the Uber.
There's an emergency.
From the bathroom.
The emergency is you, but
shame
you ain't
free.
got to say that.
Like they don't got to know nothing. But we have to, that goes back to us knowing ourselves. One of my deal breakers was cigarettes. Like, I don't care how fine you are. Once the cigarette came out, the exchange, the date, it was over. So many almost dates were ended. I'm like, ooh, what is that? Is she no, I don't care if you're holding your friends. No, I'm good. Because that means your friends smoke and then y'all hang out. You smell like smoke. So now I want to hang out with you. Know what your deal breakers are. So to what you were saying, simple dates. I think when it comes to having an environment where you can study somebody, find a date that doesn't have a lot of noise. Like, I love the movies. The thing with the movies is, yes, you get to see the movie you wanted to see and, cross a date off of your list. So you think you're, doing the double task thing, right? But if the two of you are just staring at a screen for an hour 45, 2 hours and 20 minutes, and then, the lights come on, you've just spent 2 hours next to somebody and didn't learn much about them.
Maybe,
Jump in.
So,
'cause I could be wrong. Yeah, jump in.
Because I'm thinking about our movies. I'm paying attention to when you laugh.
Well, we crazy though.
And I'll be like,
we're
hey,
definitely crazy
you're
at the
asleep.
movies. Yeah.
No, wake up.
Because I will fall
or
asleep at the
go
movies.
home.
Shame free.
But you can notice what is funny to them. That's something to observe. Somebody that thinks it's funny when something is like just dark.
That's fun. That's
or
a
they
fair point.
don't laugh at jokes. So you may learn some things. But
I think you can.
You're right. There's not a lot of interaction.
There's not a lot of interaction. You want at least when you're trying to learn about somebody, create opportunities to have simple interactions.
Yeah.
Find somewhere where you can talk. This is going to upset a lot of people's dating game. Find somewhere well lit.
That part.
Everybody
likes the dark.
Everybody loves it because it's it's dim and it's sexy. It's already setting a little mood. I get it, but fam, at some point you're gonna have to see this person. The lights are gonna come on. Come on, somebody. The light will show. We don't want the darkness to confuse you. I'm sorry, I had to go there. You have to find someplace well lit so y'all can sit. Someplace that's not terribly noisy. And I'm not saying that these aren't dates you can't go on in the future, but if you're really like, I need to study this person, I need to be able to pay attention.
Sorry, as you were talking,
Yeah.
What I realized is like so much of the traditional date is geared towards spending time around somebody when they're at their weakest. Like it's late. I'm tired. We're, maybe hungry, but these, being in the dark, being in a strange place. And so the idea that not only does it need to be simple and the interaction is there, the ability to study each other is there, is choose a date where you can be at your most thoughtful and your most aware.
I like the way she said it.
You don't want to turn your brain off. Yeah. You want to activate
listen to what she said.
Your brain and be fully present and be able to tune into what your body is telling you. Sometimes we have so much excitement about the person, we're ignoring the fact that we're like sitting next to them and slowly inching away, or like crossing our arms, ignoring your body language. So being in a space where you can be fully present and aware and thinking about what's happening is a good indicator of whether it's a good date to try. It's not sexy though.
No, but there's time for that. No. If this is the person said sexiness is reserved for, then it's cool. But I think to your point, there needs to be some intentionality about it. And I will absolutely steal this from you in terms of being intentional. That's one of the most critical things that you notice about a person when you're dating is how intentional they are. So we had been kind of socially interacting with each other. So many parties, so many cookouts, get-togethers, whatever. So we did our flirt thing, and I just knew we had flirted together enough so that we clearly there's something here. Let's see what this is. And she was like, "No, you need to take me on a date, where we are intentional about being together, outside of all of these situations that happen to bring us together." And so the intentionality is probably the key point of your date. Not just where you're going, but why are you going there? Why that specific space? What is it about that space that allows you to learn something about this other person and yourself? Is it just because is it just the experience? Going back to what I was saying earlier, too many of us are so hung up on the experience of the date that we miss the people involved, which are you and the other person. So that's a huge part of a simple date. Be intentional. If you're picking a place, pick a place because you know that is a place, that this is a time where to where you're saying, I'm at my best, I'm paying the most attention, I'm as aware of myself and the other person as I can be, and I'm taking notes. So at the end of the day, because I'm big on journaling, go home and write stuff down that you remember, assuming you can still remember it. Write it down. What did I learn? What did I learn about me? What did I learn about this person? Perhaps you just realize you had that date and they're great. And you're like, you know what? I used to like chatty people, but I don't like chatty people anymore because I don't talk when I have chatty people. And so now I don't have the chance, whatever this is. What did you learn about the other person? What did you learn about yourself? And that's really the meat and potatoes of being effective in this dating thing.
I don't know how long we've been talking, but
I don't know. Somebody will tell us to stop.
I want to wrap it up on this, where you just kind of led us, which is into introspection and into how you date you. Like, what was the impact? And you at your best. A lot of us don't know. Some folks have never been alone on a date with themselves. And I know that when we started dating, both of us were in, and still are, happy alone.
Golden. Good.
Give me 5, 10, 20, 30 hours somewhere by myself.
What?
And so getting to the place where you're able to spend time alone, but also to explore your interests alone, to enjoy time with yourself. It's less about being perfect or having it all figured out, but I think a big part of having a constructive dating experience, because it should be building something. your information on what not to do, your information on what to do, your life experience, etc. But that starts with, dating and enjoying yourself. And a lot of us don't realize that that's not there as a prerequisite. And then you with somebody else who probably doesn't enjoy themselves either. And now we just together in lack of joy.
Yeah, that part. And not only lack of joy, you're counting on the other person to bring the joy. And now, now you have expectations, and I'm so glad you hit on that. Because, I'm perfectly good by myself in any number of places. It can be a cafe, it can be a beach, it can be the sidewalk, it doesn't matter. But I'm so glad you brought that point up. And I promise you, we really are going to land this plane sometime before tomorrow. But if you don't know yourself, how can you communicate your needs to this person that you're trying to build, that you're thinking you may have the opportunity to build life with? Because ultimately, when y'all get to that place, you need to know what your needs are, they need to know what their needs are, and you both need to be able to communicate what they are, just so that you know that they're being met. But if I don't even know what my needs are, because I don't spend no time with myself, I can't tell you what my needs are. I don't even know them. And now I'm relying on you to hunt and find them for me because I don't want to do the work. Date yourself. That, I think, will end there. At the end of the day, date yourself. There it is. That t-shirt's coming soon. Date yourself. Because before you can even really effectively date in terms of encountering and experiencing other people, encounter and experience yourself so that now you can effectively bring who you know yourself to be to an experience to then get reliable feedback as to whether this person fits with the real version of you, can complement the real version of you, and then see what the mix of you two really brings together. I think that's where we'll land. Yeah. By the smile, I said, I'm with it. I'm with it. Marital Arts fam, thank you for kicking it with us. Thank you for giggling and laughing with us. Make sure, jump down in that chat below. Y'all got some questions? By all means, we love the questions because we love to answer them. If there's something we didn't get a chance to cover, jot it down there. Find us on all the socials. You know where we are. Marital Arts. We ain't hard to find. Love you guys. See y'all at the next one.